1. Hey, it's Gonzo, Gonzalez, and Ash, and you're listening to Genuine. Good morning, beautiful. Well, actually, I should say even beautiful morning here in Dallas, Texas, because it is a horrible morning in terms of weather. Yesterday was actually, it's freezing, it's blowing, it's down, it's going to be down in the 25 this morning, and I sure as hell don't want to be out there today. I'm glad that I'm actually inside, sipping some coffee and hanging out with you, Ash. Good morning, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Listen, before we start, we got a lot of things to cover, and it's actually some really good, exciting topics. But the first thing that I want to do is give a shout out. You know that I'm a numbers guy, and I really like the statistics and all that stuff. So and I've been criticized for being over statistics when I analyze things, but you know that's the way that I was brought up and trained and all that stuff. But every week what I do is I take our show and we post it in several places so people can be aware of what we're doing, right?
Right.
And so one of the places that I do it is on LinkedIn. So if you go to LinkedIn, you got a LinkedIn account, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you go to LinkedIn, you can always see the show there, as well as some of the other shows that we're trying to make people aware of. And the cool thing about LinkedIn, as many of these social platforms, is that they have statistics. So I spend some part of my day, I'll go, do my thing, and then I'll go into LinkedIn and I'll look at the statistics to see how much traffic we get in some of these shows. And surprisingly, now I don't know what it means, but well, at least I know that it's getting viewed by people. But some of our shows have gotten almost 1,000 people watching it or listening to it.
Awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
And so the last one, we're up to almost 400 already. And then the other thing that the app lets you do is look to see who's watching or who's listening. And so, it breaks it down really, really good. So I wanted to give a shout out to a bunch of people that have been consistently listening to the show. And not surprising, one of the organizations that has people that commonly listen to the show is actually Baylor Scott and White Health.
Okay.
It happens to be the most common group of individuals that listen to our show.
That's fantastic.
Isn't it? So Baylor Scott and White Health, thank you for listening. Keep on listening. We're not going to say anything appropriate. We certainly are not going to actually bash anybody over there. So keep on listening. Baylor University Medical Center. And another organization, people from another organization to listen to?
What?
The Cleveland Clinic.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So people from the Cleveland Clinic, if you guys are listening and tuning in every week.
It's a great organization as well.
Yeah, an awesome organization, one that I truly respect a lot, and I used to work there. And then the last one that commonly has people tuning in is Baylor Heart and Vascular Hospital in Plano.
Fantastic.
So you want to say shout out to those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for listening and keep on listening.
Now, the second thing that's interesting about these statistics is that you can tell what parts of the country, what cities in the country they're listening to from. So certainly the greatest proportion of people are from Dallas-Fort Worth area. Okay.
Right.
But we've had people from your stomping grounds, San Francisco, listening.
Love it.
And then you got Boston and New York.
Fantastic.
So we're actually spreading the love out there. Thank you so much for listening. And it's actually really exciting to know that people from all over the country are listening in and tuning in. I also want to go really specific as to say thank you to a couple of two people in particular who are great supporters of the program. And I know that they listen and give likes. And I want to encourage everybody to leave likes. If you have comments, leave comments. Ash and I are constantly looking at this, at the posting to make sure that we're not leaving comments unanswered. But the first one is Karen Haney. And Karen, thank you so much for being a supporter. She's always thanking. She's always liking. She's always retweeting. So that's huge. And then the other one that's actually has recently been sort of hooked on the show has been Mitesh Patel. You remember Mitesh?
Yes.
So Mitesh, you know what happened recently with Mitesh?
No.
He got engaged.
That's fantastic.
You know where?
No, I don't.
In Machu Picchu in Peru.
No way. That's one of my bucket list places that I want to go.
So he was just recently out there in Machu Picchu. Aldo Rafael, Dr. Aldo Rafael here in Dallas, Texas, has a mission trip every year to Peru. I think he
Okay.
goes twice a year. And he takes Mitesh with him, as well as Andrew Garg. Andrew Garg is another PA that used to work for us, and they basically got engaged in Machu Picchu.
He set the bar high. I'll tell you that.
No pun intended. He's in one of the highest peaks in the
I
world.
know.
But so they both. Let me tell you, talk about really nice people. I have worked with those two for at least 5 years, and there's some of the nicest and most genuine people. No pun intended, given the fact that you're listening to genuine. But they're one of the most. Oh, I love those two, and Mitesh is always full of stoke and excitement, and he's a genuinely nice guy. And talk about a beautiful person, Anju. If you're listening, honestly, she gave me the nicest going away card when she decided to move on from our practice to Children's Hospital down the street from us. And she made this card, and it's waves and a surfboard and a palm tree, and she did the whole. It's almost like an origami type of thing, just beautiful, and had some really beautiful things to say about me. And you know what? I miss both of you to death. I really hope that you guys are happy, but at the same time, I hope that sometime in the future we can work again together and create some really cool things that are going on. So,
well, that's exciting. Getting engaged is such an exciting time in your life. So, congrats to you guys.
Absolutely. Congrats, Mitesh and Andrew. And we're waiting for the wedding invitations. We'll actually host the wedding if you want us. We'll sit there and do some karaoke with you guys. And all that stuff. So anyway, how was your week?
It was good. It's been a really busy week with the house. So
we're still in the house. We're still working on the house. What's going on with the house?
Well, we poured the driveway, and me being the cheesy person that I am, took Olivia over and put her handprints in the driveway. So she has her 2 little handprints there. But then, so the cabinets are in. We picked exterior paint colors. We picked all of our slabs for countertops. We picked tile. So it's just really moving along right now. They're putting in all the doors and trim this week. So yeah, it was kind of a whirlwind of a week. I was so overwhelmed with all the choices, but really happy with the ones that we made. So I'm excited to see it all kind of come to life.
Well, you mentioned that whole thing about putting your permanent print on a property. And I think that that's super cool that if you're able to do that. I don't think that's cheesy at all. And especially this is your first house that you're building, right?
Yes.
Oh, let me tell you, you go and imprint as much handprints that you can on cement and all that stuff, because at the end of the day, it's your property. I'm going to tell you a story. So,
well, I would do it, except you should have seen, you would have thought I was trying to murder my child, because she was freaking out me putting her hands in this concrete.
Oh, really?
I had concrete all over my jacket. I was a hot mess doing this. And these poor guys who are trying to smooth the driveway are looking at me like, what are you doing to this
lady,
child?
you just messed up the work that we did.
I'm like, I'm determined to get these handprints in here. So
I am sure that you're not the first or last people that they've seen doing that, right? I mean, I think that there's a lot of people that do that same. Well, let me tell you. So when we built one of our houses, and the one that we built out in Cleveland, which was, let me think, it was the second house that we built. After we paid for the property and had everything teed up and they were breaking ground and all that stuff, we did the same thing. Me and Julian was actually, the other two were actually actually, I want to say that Diego had just been born. Alex was about to be born. So Diego had to be, let's see, so they're 2 years apart. So Diego had to be 2 years old. And so he was on a baby cat, he was on the stroller and all that stuff. Julian, was a little bit, he was a little tiny older, but so we went to the backyard and we marked our territory. We went like 2 good old males, stood in the backyard and and I said, you see that tree, son, over there? That's our tree. You know what we're going to do it? We're going to go back there and mark it. So we went back there and we just took a leak back there and we said, this is our tree. This is our property. Let's mark it.
That's funny.
So that's how we actually marked our property, where we did a similar thing. So cool. So the house is coming along okay?
Yeah, it is.
That is. So what's the alleged closing date?
Beginning of June.
Oh, that's around the corner.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm already like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have to move again, because we were originally in our place downtown and it sold before the house was built. So we're
Right.
in a temporary townhouse now. So we're doing 2 moves.
Oh boy.
I keep trying to look at it as a way to purge twice.
Right.
Oh.
Isn't it amazing the amount of stuff that you collect over the years and that you don't want to get rid of? And then when you're about to move, you realize, why
I don't need it. Get rid of it.
Why was I holding on to all this junk?
Yes.
And I don't know what it is. I mean, I think that it has something to do with, clearly there's a sentimental value because it reminds you of something. But there are other things that you're like, I can't believe that I've held on to this for so long.
Right.
I've got.
And then when you think about having to move it, you're like, I don't need it. Get rid of it.
Let me tell you. So when the kids were little, they made me for Father's Day a T-shirt with their handprints. Okay.
Oh.
Right. And so they're all babies. I mean, and even I think Alex was was not even a toddler. He must have been, I mean, I got to look back and see what year it was, because I think that I don't wear it anymore, so it doesn't get washed. But so I just have it somewhere in the closet, and every so often, I'm rearranging my closet, and then I found the T-shirt and I look at it and I'm like, oh, that's super cute. But the bottom line is that I'm holding on to because it definitely has a sentimental value and it reminds me
absolutely
how tiny they were. But the other thing that one of the things that you hold on to is at least I do. It's electronics.
Oh, that must be a guy thing.
I'm telling you, I've got cables for a gazillion things. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know.
No, I agree, because I found a huge box of cable. It's like when you open an electronic, you're like, well, I don't need this now, but I'm sure I'll need it later. And next thing you know, you have a huge storage crate full of cables.
Absolutely. The other thing that we found out that we hoard a lot is pens.
Yes. My husband said that to me on this last move. He goes, what are you planning to do with 2,000 pens? Hey,
open a Home Depot or a house, Office Depot or something like that. You can sell all these. I mean, I'm not kidding you. The amount of Sharpies, pens that I just basically put in my pocket and forget that they're in that pocket. And then I
think it's being in medicine too, because you're always at the hospital and you need a pen or you need a marker or something permanent to write on. And next thing you come home every night and you have like 10 pens in your pocket.
Right. But I don't think that it's unique to the medical field. I'm sure that everybody in America would agree that they have more pens than people in their household. And the problem is you never can find a damn pen or pencil or anything to write on when you need it.
Right.
It's like, where did I put them? And that's the whole reason. They're in the same damn place because my wife takes them and puts them in one location, which is typically very inconvenient because right, exactly. I got to walk over to the mud room to get them. But yeah, so good. Well, you know what? Take the opportunity. The other thing I'll tell you that you should do with all that stuff that you have, because a lot of the stuff also, and be honest, okay? Don't give me you don't, because I bet you do. How much clothes that you have in your closet that you probably have wore once or never has worn?
Probably a fourth.
25%.
If not a little bit more.
That's a lot.
And the amount of jackets that I have, oh my gosh.
Right?
Like Lance, my husband, is like, why do you have 47 jackets? He goes, we live in Dallas, Texas.
Right.
You don't need 47 jackets.
Right.
He's like, get it down to like 40 and then we'll go from there.
40. So you got 47 jackets. And
he's like, that's probably a rough estimate, but it drives him insane. It
drives me insane just to think about how many. I mean, listen, my closet is literally a closet, right? I mean, it's small. It has all the essentials that I need. But I'll tell you one thing. I've got so much stuff there that it's just that there's not enough days in the week to wear them, right? And usually I walk in, I go in scrubs and I change in the hospital to, fresh scrubs or whatever. But that's all I do, unless I have a meeting or something that I have to put on a coat and tie. So I got my coats, which I have several, but I don't have a lot. And the same thing happens with, dress shirts or just, like shirts that I hang out in. But it is amazing the amount of stuff that you have, and you'll have to wait till you basically are about to move to get rid of all this stuff, because how frequently do you purge your closet?
Not often enough. Clearly.
Right. And I bet Olivia has the closet of a princess.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean,
You're being so here's a listener. Did you hear that tone of voice? It is really bad when she actually cushions it the way that she cushioned it. She said it's bad. You know, I mean, so.
Well, and the thing is they grow, I mean, you know this, they grow so fast. So I feel like that she has a whole pile of clothes that I haven't even like folded up and put away that she's outgrown already.
Right.
Like I feel like every 3 months I'm turning around, I'm buying her a whole new wardrobe. I'm like, I wish I could buy myself a whole new wardrobe every 3 months.
And the other thing is that it's cheap, right? Because buying stuff that you like going to Lululemon and getting, you know, the really nice, you know, warm up pants. And you know that we have to have that color. Right. I mean, listen, you and my wife.
That pattern.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't have this one, so I definitely need it. Right. But the kids is actually easier because you can buy 500 of them for the same amount that you buy one Lululemon.
Except for now they have a Lululemon for kids.
Ooh, are you going there?
No, she's not big enough yet.
It is a disease, America. It is clearly a disease, okay? And they know that we're stupid for it and suckers for it. That's why that's why our closets are full of unnecessary stuff. You know, all the junk that we collect. Oh my God. Well, listen. So I would suggest 2 things. The first one is get a garage sale going. Actually, you know what? Garage sales are things of the past. Now you basically can just post them all online.
Yeah, the online yard sales.
Yeah, and you can make some coin there. And let me tell you, Natalie has been doing that recently. You know, she's got into the spring mode and she's pulling all the stuff that she doesn't need, doesn't wear. I mean, there are things like with tags and all that stuff, and she's just basically putting them online for sale. And you know, the good thing is you can make a little bit of money there.
I know. My sister told me she's made nearly $3,000.
What?
Yes, she lives in Fort Worth, and she's like, it's crazy what people buy.
Well, they'll buy everything and anything because you're giving them at basically lower than retail cost.
She goes, I was looking through, like, because now, like, with Venmo and all this sort of stuff, you can see, like, you can look at it and add it all up right there. She's like, it's crazy.
What's the app called again, or the website called?
Well, she does it, like, on the Tanglewood yard sale, like, in Fort Worth, but then the Venmo Pay app.
Uh-huh.
You've heard of Venmo, right? It's
no, tell me about it.
It's kind of like PayPal, but it's like the newer PayPal, and it's an app. And I can sit on here, search you create a username, and all you have to.
So it's like eBay or Craigslist or something like that.
Well, no, it's just a paying app.
So
when we have a babysitter, I don't have to have cash or write a check. I just Venmo her the money right there, and it takes it from my bank account straight to hers.
Oh, okay. So it's like Apple Pay.
Yeah.
So kind of the same thing. You just basically are able to sort of, rather than actually bringing cash, you just basically okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so she was able to look on her Venmo and she's like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. She goes, I didn't realize how much I'd made just doing this. And because my sister she's like, if it's not nailed down, we're getting rid of it. Like, that's what her husband says. Like, she is one that never has to purge because she's always getting rid of stuff. And so
she could go into business doing that, you know that?
I know.
Maybe people, what's her name? Put her name out there so people, and if she's got a handle or anything on Twitter, because
Michelle Kyle.
Yeah, Michelle Kyle. And what's her Twitter? She had a Twitter page or something?
I don't think she has Twitter, but she's on Facebook. You can find her. She's always selling great stuff.
Well, there you go. So you can find her on Facebook, Michelle Kyle. And so the other thing is that I you know, as an entrepreneur, I'm trying to figure out all these things. I got to tell you, you can probably deploy Michelle into some house, and she can basically help you make money at a. She should do that. Actually, that's a great idea. And she basically just charges a fee or a percentage of sales. Yeah. Yeah. Natalie does the same thing, and she actually gets a lot of the stuff that she, you know, she's a full-time mom, which is, by the way, it's a job on its own. Trust me, I respect that. But in any case, well. All these things are actually really exciting. I hope that the house is going well. Keep marking the houses. So let's go into a couple of things that we have. I know that you and I actually had reviewed the topics. And so for the listeners, Ash and I kind of have a huddle, if you want to use that, at the beginning of the show we kind of go through topics. And usually we have more topics that we that we have time to talk about. And so, you know, right now we've got so many topics, I don't know even where to start. So, but you got But so because we always want to have something that has to do with medicine, because Ash and I have been in the medical field for so many years, we always have to insert something that has to do with medicine. And so I think that you pulled up a really interesting story. And why don't you tell the listeners the story that you pulled out and you found the other day?
Well, no. So we've all heard like One Nation overdosed. Like they're always doing these segments about the opioid epidemic that our country is going through right now. And
right.
So I saw some, and they're obviously constantly trying to find solutions of how to stop this. And so I saw something kind of interesting and alarming at the same time, and I was curious to get your input on it. But the Surgeon General is saying that more Americans should be carrying the reversal drug Narcan, and it's now coming. And I think it's come like this, but it's becoming more available. I know first responders and even police, not just EMS, but police officers and firefighters are carrying the no spray Narcan, which is the reversal. And I just started thinking they were like, we need to make it as common as AEDs out in the public. And that really caught my attention because being a healthcare professional, I've administered Narcan multiple times in the hospital. And yes, and that wasn't someone who was overdosing on purpose. That was someone who just couldn't tolerate the dose that they had received. It's a great drug. I mean, it works immediately, but I started thinking, I'm like, even as a trained professional, I don't know if I would be comfortable out in the field just assuming someone had an opioid overdose and just administering a drug. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this? I think it's kind of scary.
I guess the first question that I have, and I maybe the answer is already in the story, is the fact that you've got the Surgeon General, who basically, who's one of his many responsibilities, or her many responsibilities, is to take care of the national public and address public issues, like when the AIDS epidemic, Dr. C.W. Cooper, who's Dr. Cooper, who was actually the one that was back in the 80s with the AIDS epidemic. And so each and one of these Surgeon Generals has like a claim to fame or something that makes them, people remember them. And so the current Surgeon General has decided to do the opioid crisis, and it has to be something really significant for him to use it as a platform to suggest the utilization of Narcan as an AED. The first thing that I'm trying to wrap my head around is the fact that so I get the public servants, okay? I get the EMS, I get the police, I get the firefighters. I get that piece.
Oh, I do too.
But so what is he suggesting, that this become like the EpiPen then?
Yes, that's what they actually compared it to.
Right? This is not like condoms. I mean, that you can, you know what I'm saying? That you can readily buy over the counter, right? I mean, Narcan, and last time I checked, I mean, I've never had to go to the pharmacy and buy Narcan. I mean, it just, so
mark it down. Gonzo's at a loss for words.
I am, because I don't know where to start this, because it's not like a peanut allergy, right?
Right. And my whole thing is that everyone has it on hand. Are you going to promote more opioid use?
Well, that's because
people know that they have. People know that they have the thing that's going to save them.
I mean, so there's something that I'm really not sure about, because let's use the EpiPen as an analogy, okay? And if anybody's listening and wants to leave comments about this, please join in and put them, underneath here in the comments section of the YouTube channel, because that's where we're trying to collect all this information, because I certainly have not been able to produce an opinion about this, because it's that's why I'm trying to be not careful, because me and my frontal lobe, it doesn't work at times. but the opioid problem seems to be in my at least comparison, if I put opioids and peanuts one beside the other, so far apart from me, or shrimp or seafood allergies, right?
Right.
Or bee stings, so far apart from each other, because the latter ones, the ones like peanut and bee stings and shrimp and all that stuff, those are not done or occur purposefully. You follow me?
Yeah.
You don't go, all right, well, you know what? I'm going to have a bunch of peanuts and I'm going to do, an allergic reaction. I know that there are idiots out there that do it, okay? Just to get their faces and names out there, and it's I get it. And so those are idiots, okay? But most of the time, these preventive measures, like an AED, are made for people who don't purposefully search for that cause.
Right.
You follow me?
Yeah.
That's the part that I'm having difficulty. Sexual behavior when they went, it was something that you can't control, because you can to a certain degree, but those are behaviors that basically people engage to because either they're fun, they're in love, they want to procreate, all this stuff, and fun may be where the problem is, in addiction. But I think that he's dealing with addiction in a completely different way, and I don't know that I still don't know, because the problem is addiction. I mean, it seems to me that you're trying to treat something at the very back end of the problem.
Right, not the root of the problem.
Correct. Right. Thank you so much. The root of the problem is not that you're going to die. Yes, it is a problem, but the root of the problem is
the access to this,
the access to the drug, and how people are dispensing it, and the market for this drug, because it sounds like it's almost like $1 billion market of people. It's almost like heroin. So heroin maybe because it's the closest thing, right?
Right.
The problem with heroin, it's heroin. It's not the fact that people are overdosing. I mean, it is a problem that they're overdosing of heroin and all this stuff. But I would like to get people's opinion about this, because I am clearly not sure about the solution to the problem. I think that we are brushing and maybe even allowing it to continue to happen, or condoning it. I don't know. Or saying that it's almost like normal,
right,
or socially acceptable. I don't know.
Well, did you know that in many states, Narcan can be purchased over the counter?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
What states? Well, I guess
it says some states still require a prescription, but
so you can go up to Walgreens and
Walgreens or CVS. Yep.
I would be interested to find out whether in my pharmacy I can get Narcan. But why would?
But here's the kicker too. I think what they said, because I saw a segment on it on the news the other day. It doesn't have it in the article that I had pulled up, but it's not a cheap drug. It's like $180
a pop.
Yes.
How much is an EpiPen?
The EpiPens are still up there. Because remember when they had that shortage and they raised the price of those. I don't know what they are right now, but still, I mean, the fact that you can just walk in and go buy, you can't buy, like, you have to go up and show ID to buy Sudafed, but I can walk in and buy the reversal agent for oxycodone, just willy-nilly.
Well, and you know what? I mean, I think that this whole issue about substance abuse is definitely a major one. We see it, and again, I want to be careful here because of what I do for a living. And I don't want people to think that I'm being obstructive or don't agree with solutions associated to the opioid crisis. Okay.
It's just questioning if this is an actual solution.
And I'm going to say this out loud. I do transplants, and I'm not condoning and trust me. Okay. I don't think that that's right. Okay. The opioid abuse. And I'm not saying not to do it because I want people dead because I can, that's because that's typically what happens. Okay. People misinterpret what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. I think that if there is an opioid crisis, I totally support what they're doing. I just don't think that the solution is Narcan pens. I think that it could be tried. I'd be interested in seeing how many lives you save. But it's just, I think that the opioid crisis, it's much bigger than simply giving people Narcan.
Agreed.
I'm still on the fence. Again, I want to invite whoever's actually listening to us to comment on it and give me some insight on it. But I just think that it's a little, I think that you're not dealing, you see, this is mental health. Okay. This is a mental health issue. It's just like depression. It's just like,
it's addiction. It's
addiction. It's a mental health issue. Okay. And we are not funding, in my opinion, the right places to deal with mental health issues. I'm going to say that that is a truth. We have more people doing primary care medicine, okay, than we have psychiatry. And we've got a bigger problem with mental health issues than we have with, we got diabetes and all that stuff. And I think that all of us are really good as to managing that. I mean, listen, my cardiologist and our cardiologists are really good as to dealing with that. We've got incredible people, support people in dietary and endocrinology doing that. But mental health, let me tell you, that part, we suck at it. Okay. We clearly suck at it. And if I were actually, doing what the Surgeon General is doing right now, I would probably try to, push Congress, push everybody to try to beef up our mental health thing, so any case, that's my opinion about it. I think that,
it just kind of blew my mind. That's why I wanted to discuss it this morning. Cause I know, like you said, we have a bunch of healthcare professionals that tune in and listen to us. And it's a very interesting topic, I feel like, right now.
Well, I'm just gonna switch to a little lighter subject because I try to do that.
Keep it light.
Yeah, keep it light. Keep it light. And actually, you actually just walked in straight into it. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a question, and again, I'm gonna wait for your response, and I'm gonna probably be able to glance or glean from your response exactly how you feel about this topic. Okay.
Okay.
So we talked about mood, right? And
right.
Mood effects and solutions to deal with moods, right?
Right.
And you talked about keeping it light. All right. So why is it that you don't like Halo ice cream?
It tastes like cardboard.
What do you mean it tastes like cardboard? Which ones are the ones that you've had?
I've only had one because I wasn't going to go back and buy another one. It tasted so bad.
Which one did you have?
Birthday cake.
Ashley, that sounds nasty.
Well, I've had, if you go try birthday cake ice cream, like regular brands, they're really good.
Okay, okay, hold on a second.
So wait, you're saying you love Halo ice cream?
Well, let me tell you, I'm not 100 pounds like you are, okay? So trust me, I like Halo ice cream, okay? So we were in this, let's talk about birthday cake ice cream, and then we're going to quickly move on to Halo because we got about 5 minutes left, or actually we got a little bit more time, but in any case. So we were, and I'm trying to remember what the name of this place is. There's a famous kind of chain restaurant in Minnesota. Well, it's in Chicago, Minnesota, up in the northeastern states. And I'm blanking out on the name of it right now. But in any case, it'll come to me in a second. If not, I'll post the name of the restaurant in the comments section later on today. But their claim to fame is the hot dogs, the sausages, the steaks, all this stuff that they make. And then they have, as a dessert, a cake shake. Chocolate cake shake. Okay, Ash. This thing is nasty. And I don't care.
Really?
It is. I don't care what people say. And I really don't, I don't agree with it. But what they do is they take a big slice of chocolate cake, all right, with frosting and everything, and they put it in a milkshake and they blend it all together as a shake.
Oh, see, that doesn't sound good.
Okay.
And I'm a dessert. Anybody who knows me knows I will eat dessert over a meal any day.
Okay, listeners, do you hear that sweet voice? She's 100 pounds. Okay, so there is a disconnect between what she's saying and what she looks like, okay? She can do that. Me, on the other hand, I can't do that, right? I will continue to grow and get bigger, and I'll go from a size now that I'm 34 to a size 40 in a short period of time. So that's why we're talking about Halo. I think your problem was that you chose the wrong flavor.
Okay, so tell me the right flavor, and I'll try it this week, and I'll let you know my thoughts next week.
Okay, well okay, and listen, you guys heard her. She's gonna try it. Okay, so in a story that I pulled out, in fact, it's actually in the Wall Street Journal of all places. You know what they do, right? They talk about big companies and people making money. Well, so all of these ice creams that are low calorie now have actually become, and no pun intended, swollen and inflated to huge companies because a lot of people are going after it because psychologically, ice cream is one of those foods that people use to deal with their emotions.
Right.
Now you can see the scene, guys, right? You walk home from work, you get home, and your wife is sitting on the couch with their Lululemon or their whatever.
Right.
They haven't changed probably all day. They're sitting down with their their warmers on, with a big cup of ice cream. Their hair's a little disheveled, and you walk in and you say, "Hi, honey," and they're like eating ice cream, and you're like, "Oh boy, this is going to be a rough day." It's comfort food, right?
Right.
And so, but the problem is that because the amount of calories that have been that are inside of one of these pints, it is so big that people are, and nowadays it's actually good because everybody's health conscious. Well, people usually eat the whole thing in one setting. And so they have some incredible statistics here. I mean, about half of Americans have consumed, more than half of Americans, Ash, have consumed an entire pint of ice cream in one sitting.
Of this Halo?
Well, according to these companies that are branding the low. No, this is of any ice cream. This is Haagen-Dazs. This is Ben and Jerry.
Oh wow!
How many times have you done it?
Done a whole pint?
Yeah. Oh, don't give me that.
No, in college, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
Like probably a dozen times.
Oh, I'm gonna call bull on that.
No, seriously. Yeah.
You didn't leave college just recently. What are you talking about? You don't do when you were pregnant. You didn't actually down a couple of pints of ice cream.
I think I did once, and then I felt sick afterwards.
That now you hit the head. About 10% of people feel physically ill.
Yeah, I don't suggest doing that when you're 8 months pregnant.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think that the companies are actually being very savvy about marketing this. The first thing is that that they have these big, bold numbers that show the amount of calories that each pint have, and they range from 100 to 300 calories in one pint. I mean, that's almost a third in some cases of the amount of calories that you would consume
in a day.
Right. And that you would consume if you were eat the whole damn pint. Okay. Right. And so I think I think that your problem has been clearly you ate the wrong one. I'm going to suggest, okay, that you taste the peanut butter cup.
Peanut butter cup.
Are you okay? Before I say that, now that we were talking about EpiPens and all that stuff in the prior,
I'm not allergic to peanuts.
Okay, are you allergic to peanuts? No. So I try the peanut butter cup. Okay.
Okay.
But don't. So in the story that I read, okay, don't do with this 27-year-old. And again, this is oxymoron. I mean, you kind of read some things and you say, really? I mean, this is not exactly a common cross section of the nation, okay? But right. In the story, people bastardize the Halo cup to try to add a little bit more flavor to it, and I've done it actually. I'll take a small scoop of peanut butter and mix it into the peanut butter cup to give it a little bit more peanutty flavor. Okay. But try peanut butter cup, a Halo, and tell me what you think. But I wanted to read this segment of the story that says that they interviewed a 27-year-old personal trainer, which is totally different. Okay.
Right.
And she'll eat a whole pint once or twice a week. But what she does to it is she piles peanut butter, sprinkles, and whipped cream on top.
So then that negate the whole point of Halo?
That's what I said. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So, and
Well, you want to know why she does it? Because it tastes like cardboard.
Okay, do me a favor. I'm not going to disagree that it's not Ben and Jerry's, okay? But your brain, it's almost like saying, well, it's not sweet enough. Well, if you keep on putting Splenda in it, either your taste buds are going to burn or you're going to develop cancer, okay? Because either one of them it's too much. But you're right. You just have to work with it and I honestly like it. I'm not 100 pounds like Ash. I'm about, $180, $190. And I'm
not 100 pounds for the record, but
Ash, how much are you weighing? And that, I know this is so, for the ladies listening, I know it's inappropriate to ask age and weight. I know that it's inappropriate. And
but he will ask both.
I know. Well, we're not going to say it on air, but here's a problem with society altogether. Okay. They can ask me what my age, my weight and all that stuff. If I ask it to a lady, then it becomes heresy. And God forbid that I mistake a little bit of a pouch for pregnancy. If I honestly commit a mistake, I get laser pointers in my eyes. Okay. But you are about 100 what?
110.
Ashley, that's 100 pounds. Okay. So don't give me that. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Anyway, now I'll tell you that one thing that I did find nasty, and I will admit to this. Okay. And it happened to me with Julian. We went to have an ice cream at one of the supermarkets, but there's this other person that they interviewed that his favorite one is chocolate caramel potato chip cupcake.
That's a whole lot of flavor in one little cup.
And just adding, you messed it up when you had me at potato chip.
Do you not like sweet and salty combined?
That's different. Now that is different, but depends on the vehicle that you utilize to do the salty. Okay.
Agreed.
So, and the reason I'm saying this is that because, as I was mentioning, I was with one of my boys at our Central Market here a few weeks ago, and it was Bacon Week, right? You know how Central Market always has.
They have their weeks.
Yeah. So this was Bacon Week, right?
Oh, love bacon.
I love bacon too. Oh my God, I could eat bacon on everything, but I can't.
Coming from the cardiac surgeon.
That's why it's actually very difficult for me to say some of these things. But yes, the cardiac surgeon loves bacon, but I don't eat it a lot. In fact, I rarely eat it. I sure as hell don't eat it at all. I can tell you that over a year, I probably touch it a half a dozen times. But in any case, we're in the sweet aisle, or actually we're not in sweet aisle. We're checking out, and we see they have a little bar of gelato bar over there. And so on our way out, I said, well, let's go grab an ice cream or gelato. And so they were actually touting a new flavor that they had, which was peanut butter, banana, bacon. Right?
Okay.
Now, when I was in Cleveland, there was this famous chef that had a restaurant called Lola's, and he had I think it was an ice cream or a dessert that had maple syrup and bacon bits.
That's good.
It was really good, right?
Yeah.
So basically I was thinking about the same experience. So I ordered it. And when I ordered it, the lady in the counter looked at me and said, "Have you had it before?" And I said, "No. Why? Is it that good?" And she said, she paused. And I was like, "I'm not sure how to take this one."
Right.
And she says, "Well, it takes she says, it's different.
That's never good.
Right. And so, my son's looking at me now. He's saying, Dad, you got to taste it. Right. Because I'm the taste master. Right. I'm the one who takes the chances for all the Gonzalez family. So I said, I'm going to go ahead and taste it. So you know what? Give me a scoop. And she puts on a little taste cup, not on a spoon, but one of those little taste cups, like a shot glass, a lob, not a lob, but a little bit, a bit of it. And so I basically, squeeze it in my mouth. And as I basically put the first swirl of it in my mouth and kind of, she says, it tastes like dog food to me. Okay. There was this vomit reflex that all of a sudden occurred because I hadn't been able to get the taste in my mouth, but just the realization, and in my mind, as I closed my eyes and I heard dog food, that I was eating cold dog food, made me want to throw up. And so it was an incredible experience with with your auditory, your visual, your tasting senses all came together into this pungent, disgusting experience that I almost yorked in front of her. And we had just had dinner, so I could feel the whole hamburger coming up and just basically. And it made me wonder, first, how does she know what dog food tastes like?
Exactly. That was my question.
Right. And I didn't go into that. I was like, and then I, just because I just swallowed it and I said, you know what? You're right. It's not that good. And then it just ruined the whole thing after that. She asked me, do you want anything else? Like, no, I'm fine right now. Julian who was with me, was just crying and just pounding on the counter laughing,
I'm sure.
And so, but that was my experience with trying to taste something that was out of the ordinary, out of the beaten path.
She shouldn't be the face for that ice cream company if that's how she's trying to sell it.
I'm going to tell you, she certainly gave me an impression that was long lasting, and certainly it resulted in a, no pun intended, visceral response. So anyway. Listen, that's all the time we have, gang. And the funny thing about doing the podcast is that Ash and I, during the week, we sit down and we sort of start, texting each other cool stories that we saw and all this stuff. And we never can seem to get through the whole number of things because we had, we still have to talk about this coffee, the coffee and the cancer warning that some judge in California put on. We wanted to talk about hell doesn't exist. That was actually something interesting because I've been a Catholic and everybody.
Who was it that said that hell didn't exist?
That was Pope Francis.
Okay, that's where it's not like the general public saying.
No. This is actually the guy leading us. This is the guy that oversees the Catholic Church. He's actually put into question whether hell does exist, which is a huge separation of what we have been taught all these years. I mean. And then the last thing that we wanted to talk about, which we never get to, see, the two things are, the hottest social scene is not the singles bar, it's a supermarket. Not that I have some experience, but I witnessed it. And then Tesla and this whole issue with automatic cars and autopilot and all that stuff, and where we are in the history of the automobile industry and where we're at, because right now we're experiencing a little bit of the headaches that happen with growth. But time's out. We're at the end of the show. So Ash, why don't you close it off and sign off for the folks?
Hey, thanks for listening to us this morning. It's always a great time. This is Ash and Gonzo signing off for Genuine. See you next week.
See you next week, guys. Bye.